Welcome into Coach A's Huddle this evening, where I'm connecting fans always to the fundamentals of football. You want to talk the running back room? Let's get it. Welcome into Coach A's Huddle. Appreciate you joining me this evening, whether you're catching me live or whether you're going to catch me later through the podcast system that you have. Make sure that you always take time to get those notifications that are sent out for what I do. And tonight, what I'd like to do is talk to you about the running back room. But we're going to talk about current events as we're leading up through the spring, because right now it's the cold winter months. If you want to call it the hot, cold, warm. If you're in Georgia, it's bipolar, so we don't really have a normal consistency when it comes to weather around here. But the weather pattern says that we should be in the off season with winter workouts right now. But we're working towards March 17th. March 17th, what's that? The deadline that we start with spring practice. And we are confirmed or having a G-Day game on April the 18th. It's really nice to see that we're going to have a lot of contenders going to the NFL Combine this year, and we always represent there. UGA always does a great job of that. You know, your top leading guys, C.J. Allen, Zachariah Branch, Kristen Miller, Monroe Freeling, Oscar Delp, Dylan Bell, Micah Morris, Dalen Everett, Brett Thorson, and Colby Young. When you're looking at the top four up there, CJ, Zachariah, Kristen, and Monroe, getting heavy C's to be looking to be drafted in the first at least 50 to 60 picks, which looks like a first, second round draft for those four. Is going to be a good showing, as always, for the University of Georgia as they represent at the NFL Combine up in Indianapolis. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that happening, and that comes up this Thursday through Saturday, the 26th through the 28th. When you look at, a lot of things that are going on right now with all the off-field situations that are happening, we're having some distractions with what happened with Darren Ikkenagbon and with Chris Cole, two names you don't want to see in the paper for those kind of reasons. I just want to assure people as they watch this and understand that there are going to be, punishment issued to these guys. They're going to be serving a lot of punishment for what they're doing. And now, in this case scenario, in the new NIL era, I'm sure there's going to be some money transactions going to take place from that. It's got to be contractually where they're being taken away with some of their NIL money that they're being, given as part of their contract agreement. So, when you look at those distractions, are they bad for the total? When you look at the totality of what UGA's program is as a commodity, yes. Do we look at the bond and look and see how much it is? Athens Clarke County Police is undefeated. It seems that they want to be in the offseason too, more in the news than actual Georgia football is. But it just gives you another way to get sort of, to route you up, to get you excited about the fact that there's just always something going on at the University of Georgia. Honestly, I hate it as a distraction. If you're a coach, you just really hate it as a distraction. You don't like it as a situation of, just looking at it from a perspective of, I really wish I didn't have to wake up and deal with this kind of news this morning. But guess what? You put me in a situation where I can't support you. And so you're going to pay for it, and they're going to pay for it in blood, sweat, and tears, and they're going to pay for it, believe it or not, in cash. I know that's hard to say in today's world, but that's what's going to happen, and I'm sure that's part of every contractual agreement that's going on with these guys. The main reason why I see it as sort of a negative, just that stigma that it gives is because we had, under the influence of some people that died. And, I look at two Georgia athletics associates and players that died in this situation. And it just seems to me that doing these kinds of things would hit hard and heavy, a little bit harder and a little bit heavier than what they're dealing with, maybe in other places. So that's the distraction that you hate to see. But still, nonetheless, it's one of those things where it's going to be paid for. It's going to be taken care of. And by the time we get to August, it'll be no longer the flavor of the month. Just want to welcome in some people this evening. Got some Brian Boy. I appreciate it. Good work. Love your work. I appreciate you being in here with me tonight. I've been under the weather, as you can tell. Maybe I might sound a little nasally, and I apologize for that. If I do, I'm going to make sure that I try to bring everything to you as I have promised, because we're going to be talking the running back room tonight. I've got a lot of people as part of Patreon that's actually watching the live show as well, and I am live on YouTube, Twitter, as well as, or X, as well as Facebook. And I appreciate all of you out there that are watching the show tonight. I would love to see your comments. I would love to take the time towards the end of the show where I hunker down with you and we entertain some questions. As long as I have the ability to take questions in, I will definitely do that. So I'm excited for you guys to be in here with me tonight as we move forward. Going back to what we were talking about, though, with the interest of what we're doing this offseason, there's been a lot of offseason coaching hires. And when I look at this gentleman here, in the picture. This is Josh Crawford, who is the running backs coach. By the way, this segment is brought to you by Backer, gear worthy of your devotion. I want you guys to take into consideration what this guy has brought in since he was hired from Georgia Tech. First off, if you look at the stats of what he has recruited, he kind of came in on the coattails of Dell McGee, who had Nate Frazier, Dwight Phillips, Chauncey Bowen. So realistically, Josh just sort of solidified, Coach Crawford just solidified those guys coming in behind. And he didn't necessarily do all the recruiting value for those three that are brought in. And to me, that is sort of the staple of what we have in the running back room right now. Since then, his two recruits that he has brought in is Bo Walker from Cedar Shoals. And then you've got the new recruit coming in from Colquitt County, Jay Lamar, those two guys. And I know that there was some off-season, I want to call it a little bit of friction, maybe a little bit of abrasiveness as we listen to Nate Frazier trying to reunite with his contract and trying to basically be re-recruited. There began to be some little whispers about him going elsewhere and things of that nature, and it was because of Coach Crawford. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't think the running back room is necessarily decreased in its value with what they've seen over the last couple of years because we wanted to establish the run last year, and I think we ran the ball more effectively. So that's obviously an essential ingredient to a good running back room. So obviously I think he's getting the correct coaching going through, but I don't know what there was. If there was some friction there between Coach Crawford and Nate Frazier. And again, guys, you're going to have friction with coaches and players. That happens all the time. You're not going to keep everybody happy, especially when you're dealing with money stipulations, things of that nature, contractual agreements, people getting injured, people in the depth chart and things of that nature. So there's always things that are going to be happening where you're going to have some little bit of friction. But the one thing about it as a coach is you've got to maintain consistency and fairness in what you try to implicate. And that's something that could be not as good and not necessarily happening. And kids can figure that out very quickly when you're not doing those kinds of things. So lo and behold, as far as all the running back room is, and I think being one of the strengths of what Georgia has returning in 2026, of all the coaching hires, there's plenty of them out there. David Whitlow's a quarterback analyst. We've got, of course, Larry Knight coming in as outside linebackers coach. Mo Smith, old school OG coming in from the first year. Kirby Smart was at Georgia, coming back to help in the safety room, which I think is a very key ingredient. But bringing in Robert Edwards, man, I'm telling you, is got to be one of the most phenomenal hires I've seen because, you've got an NFL product, all right, definitely a first-round draft pick. Obviously had a great time at the University of Georgia once he got converted to the running back room. Talk about somebody who excelled once he was moved from different position choices back in the day. 96, 97, unbelievable rushing yards that he put up while at the University of Georgia. And honestly, to me, probably should be in the Hall of Fame. I really hate to see what happened to him from the Pro Bowl situation. As you know, he was one of the ones, I think he got injured in some type of off-field Pro Bowl, like they were playing beach volleyball or something like that, and messed himself up really bad, either a knee or ankle. I can't recall what it was. Those of you who are watching might be able to give me some insight on that. But with him coming into the room, I think this was something that Coach Smart had stacked up to not only help solidify with Josh Crawford in the room, but help solidify the stable that you have in running backs in that room. There's consistency there. And when kids see a guy that comes in that played in the NFL, is a University of Georgia alum who loves the school, obviously wants to be a part of the school system, has also coached high school football as well. He's been at all three levels, NFL, college, and high school. I think he brings in, he's the older brother of Terrence Edwards, as most of you know, who holds the all-time receiving yards in as far as in a year of receiving yards at the University of Georgia. The Edwards brothers, very talented combo of kids there. And, when I look at those two together, just unbelievable talent between those two. But Robert Edwards, to me, helps that room out a lot. Okay, because not only does it take what Josh Crawford is doing and sort of give you more eyes to watch the play, to watch what's going on, to have a new set of eyes in practice, to be able to have two jumping ass instead of just one, being able to hold other people accountable when they're not doing their job and they're not being a good teammate, taking mental reps, those kinds of things. I think Robert Edwards brings that to the table. I think he's a blue-collar lunch pail guy. I think he brought that to the University of Georgia when he played there, and I think he's going to do that as a coach. And I think this is one of the extreme hires that Coach Smart and staff have made this year, because not only does it help solidify a running back room, which I think is one of your strengths this year, But I think it also is probably going to hold down sort of those whispers that we had between what we were hearing of Nate Frazier and Coach Crawford having some issues with one another. And I'm not going to really embellish that any further than it is, because honestly, when I hear those kind of whispers, that doesn't bother me. Kids have got to get over the coaching mentality. It's just being unfair and inconsistent that you don't want to see from a coaching staff. But if that guy's out there every day coaching them up, making them be accountable, holding them accountable, disciplining them, and that's why they're upset, then they need to get the hell over that. That's just part of coaching. But when it comes down to it, if this guy is doing his job day in and day out, which I think he is, I think Robert Edwards solidifies that room. I think we have a jam up situation there in the running back room going into the 2026 season. So very excited about that. I wanted to give a shout out to my friends, Josh Hanser at Dog Stats, as well as John Smith with John Tweet Sports, who also runs the Speakeasy Sports program. I've got the QR code up in the top right-hand corner. If you ever want to check out stats, guys, to the limit, you can see pretty much anything you want to see from a quantitative basis. And I'm a science guy anyway, so I understand quantitative numbers. I like to look at numbers because I want it to back up what I see on film. And this is the reason why I brought this up, is because this is your running back room next year and what you've got returning. We've got over 3,000 all-purpose yards coming back, which is huge. I think that's a big deal because when you look at Nate, Chauncey, and Nate, Chauncey, and Dwight, those three guys came in together, okay? But they've dealt with injuries at different times throughout the season. So that's something that might change the events a little bit as we move forward to see who's really going to step up and be that 1-2 punch this year, or maybe even a 1-2-3 punch. We have always shown that we want to show a little bit of that diversity and not show a trend on offense where they have a tendency to know if we have somebody in the game that is going to possibly be going to them like we did with Cass Jones. But speaking of those guys, who are we going to be able to throw to? We know we can run the football with this gauntlet of men here. But who are we going to be able to throw to? I think we take away from the fact of when Kenny McIntosh was in the backfield for us through the years that we won the championships. He was able to catch a screen pass and take it to the house against Ohio State on a fast screen or a jailbreak screen. He was able to catch the ball out of the backfield on a rail route. I know all of us down here probably have a guy that we can think of that could catch the ball out of the backfield, but I'm really curious to know, first off, no, we don't set up any kind of tendencies of when they're in the game because we know they can run the football. But who are going to be those guys that can go out there and not only run the rock, but take the ball from the backfield on a flare route or a flame route or a rail route out of the backfield or a check down on an angle or a check down on an option out or an arrow route and be able to catch the football out of the backfield? We've seen Chauncey do it. We've seen Nate do it. But who's going to be the consistent one that we can challenge to take on linebackers out of the backfield as that fourth or fifth option if everything else breaks down in the scheme of things? So, when I look at everybody here, I'm excited about what we bring in, okay? Because one of the big names that you see on there that nobody's really aware of, again, I want to thank, before I go to the next slide here, Josh Hanser with Dog Stats. If you get a chance, I would love for you to scan the QR code. If you're actually watching this later, I would love for you to give that a scan, and it takes you to their website of what they do. John and Josh have done a phenomenal job with that website, and I think you'll be very pleased with it. If you want to see any kind of stats, what I've got up here on the screen comes directly from their actual website. And I love using their stat boards because they're easy to use, they're click and play, and they're plug and play, and they do a really good job. So thank you guys for your support in what you do and the product that you give to the public. And I am certainly appreciative of what you do. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about this gentleman right here in Donte Dowdell. Okay. Donte Dowdell, coming from University of Kentucky, I think is going to add some depth to the running back room. The only thing that I've got as a question mark right now is we are his fourth school in 4 years. Okay. So to me, that makes me wonder what his dedication is going to be like when he's trying to learn another new system. So is he going to be like a Josh McRae? Is he going to be more like a Roderick Robinson? Is he going to fit that role and be happy with it? Is he going to be happy with trying to fulfill the role behind Nate Frazier, Chauncey Bowens, and hopefully a healthier Dwight Phillips, who to me should shine this year as that group, that triad up top? Donte Dowdell's got to earn his role, has got to earn his spot. And I'm really curious to see what his dedication is going to be like because, when I look at his total yardage and what he brought from Kentucky last year, which was absolutely had a putrid year last year, what does he help in the running back room? Well, he definitely provides depth. there's a lot of things that we can see from him. And of course, I'm going to show you a little highlight film of all of these running backs here in just a second and what they bring. There's not necessarily one that's just going to go out there and just speedster everybody all the way to the end zone, but we have a lot of tough running backs that have great vision. They pound the football, and as long as they stay healthy, will be the strength of the running back room. When I look at the totality of what we produced last year, I bring up Nate, I bring up Chauncey, I bring up Dwight. Bo obviously wasn't there on picture day. A lot of people forget about Micah Bell, who is the younger brother of Dylan Bell. I don't know how you couldn't tell. They look like twins. And then we got the Jay Lamar kid from Colquitt County. I think he's going to be a kid that's going to end up showing up sort of like and playing like what Bo Walker did last year for us. A lot of people want to see Bo Walker improve and grow in the system and get better as well, because he had some spurts where he did some good things. But we've got to see Nate, Chauncey, and Dwight show out this year and stay healthy, along with a Donte Dowdell who can come in and provide quality minutes as well, either in short yardage situations or down and distance situations where it's third and short, or whether we're in a situation where we run play action and we run the fullback out of the backfield or an H-back type out of the backfield and hit him on the counter boot, things like that can be productive for us as well. So as you look at all the stats from last year with the running backs, I'm curious to know, those of you who are here with me right now for the first segment, what's your thoughts? What running back do you think is going to be proven for next year? And when you look at it, are we only going to be as good as the offensive line that we're lining up in front of us? Now, I'll leave that question open-ended, because if I went to that rabbit hole and started talking about the offensive line in front of us, I think I would be in trouble. And I definitely don't want to do that at all, because, when I sit there and think about, sorry for not being on the screen there for that entire time. I guess I was just completely audio. But when you look at the offensive line and we're, question marking a couple of positions and what we're going to do next year, the growth is going to come from what we get from Phil Rosher, who now is staying at the University of Georgia. I know the NFL tried to pull him away, but we're not dealing with that anymore. So that's a good thing to know. And obviously he said, hey, listen, I'm staying here with you guys. I'm committed to you guys. We're going to get this done right. So if the offensive line takes on the role that we think we can, the different dynamics that he brings to the table for the offensive line, I think that also catapults what we do at the running back position as well. And it's easy to say that. What's going to happen is we bring it to fruition at that first bookend in April when we go to, the spring game on April the 18th. Appreciate you being with me tonight. I am Coach Hayes, connecting fans to the fundamentals of football. Appreciate you all being in here with me tonight. Bill, I'd love to say thank you for being here with me. Good evening from Buckeye Land, and go Dogs. Definitely go Dogs. Appreciate you being with me tonight. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the running back room in general, just all the different players that are going to be coming back, a little tidbit of a video that I've edited for you to watch. And then we're going to talk about the newest recruits under Josh Crawford that have just committed to the program for the 2027 season. We'll be right back after these words. Your devotion for outerwear and headwear through Authentic Gear of the Georgia Bulldogs, bckr.com. Backer equipment, gear worthy of your devotion. Welcome back. That segment was sponsored by Backer Equipment, gear worthy of your devotion. This segment, we're going to be looking into the running back room a little bit more in depth. This segment is going to be sponsored by Georgia Sports Autographs. We got a big signing this weekend on February the 28th, Saturday in downtown Athens. Going to have Lawson Lucky. We're going to have Nate Frazier and Elias Williams going to be there for signing autographs, and be excited for you to be there. If you want to sign up, just use the QR code that we have to Georgia Sports Audit. Dwight Phillips Jr. Here's Donte Dowdell, obviously, against Florida last year in one of his big explosive runs. But, when you look at the whole premise of what you have in these guys, my feelings are this. I feel like when you look at a Dwight Phillips that's healthy, he adds a dimension to the running game that we haven't seen. We haven't seen that explosion really since week 4 right there that you see in that situation. Bo Walker, I think, is just going to be some added depth that doesn't give away tendencies, is going to help take away some of the reps from other kids, depending on how well he's practicing. And we always hear Coach Smart talking about how well he practices as well. Chauncey Bowens, until he got hurt, honestly, was to me the most consistent running back we had last year. Not fumbling the football, running hard, yards after tackle. But I'm really interested to see Donte Dowdell. I really want to see how he contributes this year into that running back room where he's been at 4 schools in 4 years. What's his dedication going to be to the running back room when you've got that stable, that triad of guys in front of him? So we're just going to have to see. Now, I'm going to say this. Josh Crawford has brought in, finally, for the first time, you look at Bo Walker, solid athlete running back from Cedar Shoals, and you got Jay Lamar. We brought in one running back the last 2 years. Those other 3 running backs we talked about with Chauncey, Nate, and with Dwight were under the coattails of Dale McGee. But when I look at Kemon Spell, and I'm sitting there looking at it from a standpoint, I always want to say smell instead of spell. But Kemon Spell, okay? Of course, I'm a little nasally too, so I apologize for that. When I look at his film, and guys, I've watched a lot of film. This kid is the total running back. Now, is he going to transition that to college? You would think he would, because you're watching him in high school as a man among boys. And he should look like that when he's in that situation. But his vision is elite. His strength is elite. He is built right. Now, a lot of people don't understand that when I say built right. I mean built right in the sense where his proportion of his center of gravity makes him an ultimate specimen for a running back. He's not too tall and long-legged. He doesn't have a high upper torso, so his center of gravity is higher. He has the ability to change direction very quickly. He's got unbelievable hands. So, taking a running back that can not only leave the backfield and catch the football like a DeAndre Swift is similar to that. Believe it or not, when I first watched him, I even went further back than even DeAndre Swift because I don't think he cuts as well as DeAndre does, but he does definitely have some mobility that is, one of one in his situation. But his strength to his cutting ability to his outright speed to just move and displace himself from the defense is unbelievable. But I kind of think of Keith Marshall. You got them running the Delaware wing T right here, and you got the outside veer they just run with him at fullback. He's the B back right there, running the outside veer there, which is run beautifully. I wish more people would understand the triple option a little bit better and see that. But, nonetheless, I think Kemon Spell is going to be the kid that takes Josh Crawford to the next level. Now, what I mean by that is I think there's a lot of rumor mills out there that his recruiting ability was not very good. And, with what we had for the past 2 years, we basically brought on 2 running backs in 2 years, okay, versus Dale McGee's 3 that he had coming in that first year that he took over for Dale McGee. But for the first time ever, this gentleman right here could put Coach Crawford on the map. And what I mean by that is that it's just like with Trey Scott. For the longest time, people questioned our defensive line, and it was the same situation. What is Trey Scott doing for us in the recruiting world? Okay. I think Trey Scott's a hell of a coach, but he had to learn to be a good recruiter. And once he started learning how to recruit, you saw what has happened since then. I don't need to even explain that. The same thing applies. This is what I told Scott Green the other night when we were on our Head on a Swivel show. I feel like when you look at that perspective, you want to take somebody and make him a great recruiter after he's brought on staff because he's a hell of a coach. I want a good coach that's going to make me look better, honestly. I want good coaches. I want to be surrounded by good coaches that have great ideas. Hell, I can teach them to become a great recruiter. Recruiting is something that you have to work at and be good at. You have to be personable. You have to establish relationships. You have to be fair and consistent in what you say, and you stick to what you say. You have to take a lot of information in, and you've got to be able to process that information. When it comes to being a good coach, you can be savvy in X's and O's, but not know how to process it over to a kid. And I think that's something that good recruiting eventually comes with time. I would rather have a hell of a coach and make you a good recruiter over time than the opposite. Okay. So with that being said, I think Kemon Spell is definitely going to be one that's going to be in the ranks. We're going to see him stay with the University of Georgia and stay committed. And I'm going to give you a reason why. When it comes to quarterbacks, I know we've been burnt. Jared Curtis is the last one that we saw of that situation. But if you think about where Jared Curtis was at before the Beavers kid committed from Oregon, he would have been in the line of 6. And there's only one quarterback on the field at a time. He knew he was going to have to wait his turn or either outcompete 2 to 3 guys that probably had a one-up on him. He knew that he wasn't going to step on the field in 3 years, and that's the reason why I think he took the opportunity to go somewhere where he knew he was going to have to, take his lumps, but he was also going to be able to start. And so with that being said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to restart this over just to let it play while I continue to talk here. But I want you to understand when it comes to this gentleman, when he shows up after this next year, Nate Frazier's in a bag year. Chauncey could be in a bag year. Dwight Phillips could also be in a bag year. You've only got Bo Walker, Jay Lamar, maybe Micah Bell, and then you got Bo Walker. Who am I? Oh, Donte Dowdell will probably be gone as well because he's in his fourth year unless he has another year of eligibility, which I don't think he does. So all of a sudden, the running back room goes to basically down to maybe 3, possibly 4. And this kid comes in. I guarantee you, Coach Smart says, listen, more than likely, half of this room is going to be depleted next year, depending on how well they play this year. So I would say 3, maybe 4 are going to be in the running back room. And if you come in, you're competing for the number 1 spot. Very similar to what Nate had to do coming in the 2020, when in the 2023 year, I believe it was, or the 2024 year, when he came in and had to all of a sudden show up and start playing because he was the next best running back we had as a true freshman because of injuries that we were dealing with. So I think this is the reason why this kid is going to be committed and stay committed to the University of Georgia, because it's timing of where he's at in the system. I think it fits appropriately where he's at. I think he's going to be a running back that's going to step in and plug and play immediately because of his ability. And I'm really excited to see this kid not only grow this year in a senior year and hopefully stay injury free, but be a commit that comes to the University of Georgia and is able to play right out of the gate, because I think he is that good of a football player. Now, I've done these breakdowns as part of my Patreon. So if you're interested in watching anything on Kemon Spell, you're more than welcome to go over there and check him out. I've done about a 4 to 5 minute edit on him and broke down just his overall abilities on the football field. Next, we also have a commit from this gentleman right here as well. This is Noah Parker out of Macon County. Montezuma High School, as most of you, or Montezuma, Georgia, is very familiar with, is where Roquan Smith is from as well. Now, when I watch him play, I look at just his film overall. I've watched it for the past couple of weeks. He's a 3-star athlete. The one thing I see with him, he's just got really good vision. He's a bigger kid, but even though he's bigger, if you look at his stats, I don't think he is what he carries on the field. 5'10", it says he's about 205 pounds. I think he's probably playing a little bit heavier than that in his junior year right here. He needs to slim up a little bit. I think that will help with his speed, but his vision and his toughness, you can tell he's got tree trunks for thighs. He's very strong in his lower body. And I think that's something that brings a lot to the table for the University of Georgia, because in the SEC, you got to be able to pound the rock. Excuse me. And so that's something I think he's got to be able to do and grow and get better at. As this year progresses, because he has the University of Georgia offer and now he is committed to him, I would probably see if he has a good senior year that he could obviously impress. I'd love to see his speed just increase, but there's things that you love about him. With his size, he's got good mobility, great vision, and he is hard to tackle. As you can see in the video here, he is hard to bring down. But there's also the want to value, and that's something that a lot of people don't see, those undisclosed dispositions about, all right, how good of a kid is he? What's his character like? What is he like in the classroom? What is his academics like? How is he going to carry himself when things get tough? Those are things that coaches are asking their high school coaches. And if I'm their high school coach, I'm going to tell them the truth. If he's a turd, you can polish a turd all you want to, but it's still a turd. And I'm going to say this, if you got a good kid, you're going to definitely bring him up and say, listen, you want this kid to go to war for you. And I'm going to go ahead and play this one more time as it goes through it. You want this kid to go to war for you because he's going to go out there and do everything you ask him to do. And that's what you expect. That's the character you want in a kid and what you expect out of a kid. So if they bring this kid in as well, and Josh Crawford maybe can add that one more to the group, all of a sudden now you're bringing another triad in with this group with the ultra premier elite number 1 running back, in the nation in the 2027 recruiting class in Kemon Spell. So, I think there's some good things that we can see out of this as we move forward. And I really do think this running back room is going to stay solidified through their senior years. I don't see you're going to see a lot of turnover with this group because of that situation. I understand we've been burnt in the past with quarterbacks. And I know a lot of people think of, the Justice Terry kid, the Tyler Atkinson kid. Those are money situations. I look at this situation and I say it's a good fit. It's the right timing. And with that being said, I feel like you're going to see these kids stay committed and not just bail because of, last minute bags or things of that nature. Bill, I saw your comment on here. I wanted to put it on here. I know it can change quickly, but I love his ex comments and commitment to UGA. Shut down his recruiting, wants to be Coach Hart. You're exactly right. Going back to Kemon Spell, that's what Bill is saying. in X, you can see that he has made a total commitment. And believe it or not, that's what a lot of kids are having to do nowadays, because they're hearing all that chatter. They hear all the chatter from the casual fan who's out there trying to say, well, let's see if he stays committed over a period of time. I doubt he does. And you saw within a week's time, after all that chatter, he put out that public disclosure of, hey, I'm shutting down all my recruiting. I'm going to take my time and go to the University of Georgia and stay committed to that, because he knows what his responsibility is when he comes in as a 2027 recruit to the University of Georgia. I will be right back after these words from Georgia Sports Autographs.
Hey, Dog fans, come see me, Elias Williams, and Lawson Lucky from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Spring Hill Suites in downtown Athens. Get your tickets now at GeorgiaSportsAutograph.com. See you there. Go Dogs.
Georgia Sports Autographs has done it again as we prepare for another public signing on February the 28th. As part of Coach Hayes' Hudl, I will be doing a free giveaway for a $150 value super ticket where all public signings, that would be Lawson Lucky, Elias Williams, and Nate Frazier. We also are going to provide for you something that's never been done before, where you will have a picture taken with one of the three of your choosing of the public signees, Lawson Lucky, Elias Williams, or Nate Frazier, and have the opportunity to get that picture developed right on the spot, 8x10 or a 16x20, that will be signed by your favorite player of your choice. So don't give up the opportunity to come by and not only see some damn good dogs, but to also have the opportunity to register for this win. Georgia Sports Autographs, built by collectors and for collectors. They know what fans want because they've been in your shoes. They're always willing to help in any way possible. Please make sure that you check out the QR code to go to their website for any mail-in, mail-out options, or for the opportunity to look at their merchandise across the board. We, as part of Georgia Sports Autographs, look forward to seeing you on February 28th for the public signing with Nate Frazier, Elias Williams, and Lawson. Sorry about that. As we close out the show tonight, I'd like to thank my sponsors in Backer Equipment, gear worthy of your devotion, as well as Georgia Sports Autographs. And I'm excited. We're going to be at the Spring Hill Suites this weekend in Athens. Going to get a chance to meet a lot of damn good dogs. There's actually going to be some there as well for private signings. And as you know, I've had the wonderful opportunity as part of Georgia Sports Autographs with Roger Sutton and Sam Mathis. They do a phenomenal job with that group. That little village that takes care of business day in and day out. And those kids absolutely love them. They love coming in and doing the show with them and supporting the local area. But we'll be at the Spring Hill Suites Hotel there, right in downtown Athens, right down from Lumpkin Street from the Arch, right across from the CVS Pharmacy at that large hotel. They'll be there from 1 to 2 signing private autographs or signing autographs for the public during that time, and that is Nate Frazier, Lawson Lucky, and Elias Williams. As you can see here, I've had a lot of QR codes on the screens tonight across the board. Josh Hanser and John Smith with Speakeasy Sports Show. I would love for you to check out their stats webpage as well. You probably saw the Backer QR code. That gives you an opportunity to look at the gear and the equipment that they sell as well. I've joined as an affiliate with them over the last month and really looking forward to that partnership too. And as always, the solidarity that I have with Georgia Sports Autographs, Roger Sutton and Sam Mathis take care of me. It seems like every day they're always calling me, checking on me, seeing how things are going. And I can't thank them enough for giving me an opportunity to work with them as well. As you can see on the screen below right there, that QR code takes you to my website. You have the ability to go in and check out all the things that I do, my breakdowns. I don't tend to push my Patreon account because I know that's behind a paywall. But if you're very interested in X's and O's and wanting to be connected to the fundamentals, I do that every day, all day. I don't have any other thing to do when I get home from school every day after teaching 8 hours a day, but to dive into film, break down player recruits, new recruits, just X's and O's, and just try to connect those people who love the game to the game a little bit better. Something that you can talk at the water cooler the next day with your buddies a little bit more about because you have some expertise in what you've heard. I'm not perfect. I'm not the only coach out there. There are a million ways to skin a cat, and everything that happens when you do coach a football program is everybody's X's and O's are different. Everybody's terminology is different. Everybody has different mentalities towards different concepts. So not necessarily is everybody perfect. But as you heard me tonight, the one thing that I think connects a coach to the program is one that can convey the X's and O's to their player personnel and be able to make them go out and bite the bark off of a tree. If they can get them to do that and earn that respect and stay consistent and fair with it, you're going to have a really good coach. And I think that's what Coach Smart is trying to do. He's bringing in more smart and savvy guys that have experience in the field, that not only have that experience they can bring in and convey to the kids, but they also been there. They've been in the trenches. These kids know that. And when kids know that and they know the investment you've got in it, that makes it even more special. So again, I can't thank the patrons enough for the people who support Coach Hayes Hudl. I would appreciate it if you give me the opportunity, whether you're catching me live right now or whether you're actually going to be watching this later by podcast, that you give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate that for your notifications that you'll get, as well as all the things that I do for Coach Hayes Hudl. My social media account has all my hyperlinks in it for you to be able to check out pretty much anywhere you want to go to know more about Coach Hayes Hudl. And I would appreciate that opportunity to share with you all of the knowledge that I have over 20 years of high school football coaching, as well as just the savvy of being around a lot of quality athletes over the years and evaluating kids over the years. So with all the people, I didn't have a ton of comments in the chat tonight. I know it's a Tuesday night. I know it's a little bit of cold down here in Northwest Georgia, but I would be willing to take some questions if you've got any right now, if there is any. But like I said, if you do get the chance, make sure that you go back through the video, scan those QR codes, have the opportunity to for the patronage of those different programs that are sponsoring the show is highly appreciative of it. But he's my ass. I use those breakdowns to dazzle the nuts. There you go. I love it, man. Taking it up there in the Ohio State area. I know in the Columbus area up there, you probably have to. But like I said, all I'm trying to do is just always connect people to help them understand the game better. I'm not willing to go out there and be some kind of flashy show of trying to be better than someone else. There's a lot of people out there that I have watched and, I've gotten information from and been able to use to reciprocate to help me be a better podcaster, and also to help, in my show and what I do. I respect the hell out of those people who do what I'm trying to do as well, which is to not only be, instead of just being the hyperbole of hot takes and trying to give you everything that gets you all razzed up, which seems to be the way that everything's driven nowadays. I'm more common sense, down to earth. I take the facts, I watch film, I give you those facts, and I give you my thoughts on those facts. So it makes it a little bit simpler for me, and probably the reason why I don't have as much dazzle with what I have. But, obviously I've drawn a very decent following over the years, going into year 3 now, and I'm looking forward to growth this year as we move through this season. Appreciate all of you being in here with me today. As always, Sedgwick Graham, go Dogs all day, every day. And without a doubt, my friend, excited for you to be in here with the show tonight. Like I said, if we have any questions, I'll entertain anything right now. I've been on. I was gonna stay in the 40-minute range tonight, talking the running back room, talking how we're excited about what we've got coming back next year. I'm glad that we're adding Robert Edwards to the running back room for the coaching staff. I think that solidifies a very strong stable of running backs in that personnel grouping. Very similar to what we're doing with Phil Rosher now, taking over for the offensive line while Stacey Searles kind of steps back in an analyst role. I think there's a lot of neat little moves that are taking place, very similar to David Whitlow coming in as under the tutelage of the gentleman who went to LSU now as a quarterback's coach at LSU under Lane Kiffin. I would say that that's a pretty good resume. If those two guys work together, and now, Lane Kiffin wants, I think his Dane Pearson was his name, that went to LSU. So, if that's the case, that's something good to see as well, because those whispers get into Gunnar Stockton's ears, and Gunnar Stockton needs the best year ever. I think he's got a lot of growth in front of him, and with his growth will be the exponential growth of the football team. So it looks like I don't have any questions tonight, but I do appreciate you being with me as always. I truly appreciate the time and efforts that you take to stay in here with me through the segments that I talk about. If you are catching me later, I do appreciate you watching the show. Again, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, share it out there with other people. I would love to get those algorithms out there. As always, my name is Coach Hayes, and I am always trying to connect fans to the fundamentals of football. Take care. God bless. And as always, go Dogs.